Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we have a knife review of a classic. This is considered kind of an HOF for most people. This is the Spyderco Tenacious. Spyderco Tenacious. Alright, so let's get into some specs and we'll do this quick review here. Overall length is 7.76 inches. The blade length is 3.39 inches. The blade thickness is 0.12 inches. The overall handle length is 4.5 inches. The handle thickness is 0.47 inches. The overall weight of the knife is just over 4 ounces at 4.10 ounces. And that's more or less it. So let's get into this cool looking knife. This is actually a really nice knife, especially for the price and style and features. When I first got into knife collecting, I saw a number of reviews of this knife. There's probably like 800 reviews out there. I'm just throwing it in there for my own sake of putting a review on it. It is really nice in the fact that, one, it has a very attractive blade shape and design. This is a Spyderco kind of leaf shape drop point blade. It is a full flat grind, and like a true flat grind, so it's flat all the way from the spine down. Well, not a true flat grind, because then it'd go down to zero, but then it has that small cutting secondary bevel there. The base material of the blade is angled to give it a nice attractive look there. Has a large spider hole opening thumb hole. We have the Spyderco spider insignia there. We have the Spyderco label there, as well as 8CR13 labeling the steel. And on the other side, it is made in China. With the shape of the blade, we also can clearly see the thumb ramp and jimping here, which is one of the better features on this knife, is that your thumb just locks right into there and you have a sure positive grip on this knife. There is no choil for sharpening, which might be a deal breaker for some. But, it's not a huge thing. Most people don't cut from that very close part anyways. So, moving in, the knife deploys buttery smooth, one of the smoothest opening knives I have, because they use higher grade bronze phosphorus washers that just make this thing fly out. It's super easy to deploy. Looking into the handle now, we have a very basic handle, though it's really comfortable in hand. You have this palm swell here for your middle fingers, as well as this slight guard here, which helps lock in the grip, as well as like a pinky hook there. And then, like I said, your thumb just fits right in and up that ramp. And it's great in this cutting position here. You can also do a full hammer grip with that arch in the back, and it just sinks into your palm, and it's very comfortable. This is definitely a working utility style knife. As you can see, it has a large chamfered edge here, as well as a cutout, so you can access the stainless steel liner lock, which makes it super easy to close. As easy it is to open, it is to close. When you look inside, you can see the liners are milled out, which decreases the weight on this knife and makes it much more pocketable and lighter for a knife this size. Polished stainless steel. It is open pillar construction. It has a tubed lanyard hole as well, which is a nice feature. Besides that, you can see we have the milled out holes in the G10 black liners, or G10 black scales, and that is for the pocket clip, which is a 4-way reversible pocket clip. So tip up, tip down, left and right hand carry. We have the Spyderco hourglass shaped pocket clip, which looks pretty sexy. and it has a little spider on it. And that's that. The other thing is the blade steel is probably one of the only things that is a ding on this knife. But for the price, you can't argue it. It is made out of an 8CR13 MOV, which is, you know, a fairly standard but good budget steel. You know, it takes an edge really well. It's easy to sharpen, ridiculously easy to sharpen. But because it's kind of lower in edge retention, you will end up sharpening it a lot more often. But either way, it still looks good, polishes up nice, and you know, it makes it a functionable tool. So cool. That being said, let's get into some comparisons. I'm going to line up the knives with this number 7 line here. So as you can see, it's there. First knife up to compare it against is the Kershaw Camber, which is by far my favorite Kershaw knife for the price. Yeah. Then we have my all-time favorite knife in my entire collection. That is the Bird Raven 2. Adore this knife. We also have the other classics like the Ontario Rat 1. And then, just to throw one in there, we have the Cold Steel Finwolf with the Triad Lock, which is a pretty sweet knife as well. All right, now looking at the blade lengths, it is not the longest knife in this race for blade lengths. It looks like most of the other knives are just ever so slightly longer. The Rat 1 is clearly the longest. The Raven might have an edge on it, but that doesn't say that the cutting edge isn't longer. For example, on the Raven, we have that finger choil, and obviously you get a little bit more length in the blade of the Tenacious. Handle-wise, though, it has the second shortest handle, which is pretty nice. It means that for the size of the handle, you get an equally long blade. So that's pretty rare. Sometimes you have a much longer handle than you do blade, and that's kind of a disappointment, depending on what type of knife collector or user you are. So as you can see, we got that. So now let's compare blade thickness. We have the Camber and the Tenacious. It looks like they're about even. We have the Rat 1, and it looks like they're about the same thickness. The Tenacious might be a hair thicker. Then we have the Finwolf, looks about the same thickness. And finally, the Bird Raven, and clearly the Bird Raven is thicker, which makes this a beast. Now, real quick, that being said, a lot of people fell in love with this knife for the price. This knife, when I first came upon it, was around $30 to $35. Since then, it's gone up a little bit, but you're still able to find this knife for under 50 bucks, around $40. This knife, they consider to be the Tenacious Killer. Some people are calling it the Tenacious Killer, just because it's similar size, similar materials, G10, milled out construction. I will say that this knife, the Tenacious, is lighter than the Raven, but the thing that puts the Raven above the Tenacious is the blade steel. This has a superior blade steel in the CTS BD1, and you can check out the review in the upper right hand corner on the Bird Raven 2. Is my first review ever. I might do a follow-up review on it later. But just overall looks, yeah, it has a little bit different handle design, but more or less we got that big cutout, same materials, flow-through construction, jimped thumb ramp, and so on. So that's that, but they're both equally good designs. You can't go wrong with either one of them. But this knife is 45 bucks, so it's just maybe a couple dollars more than the Tenacious, and you get the better blade steel. If I had to pick one or the other, I'd definitely pick the Raven 2. If not, this one is still nice, really nice. It's thinner than the Raven 2, so it slides in the pocket really well. So it's definitely a classic. There's hundreds of reviews on it on Amazon, so check it out. The only thing left is the ugly brown glove test, and it's a test to see how well the knife works with a loose or bulky cloth glove. Like I said, I lost my one, so I'll find it later. But easily deployed with the thumb hole. I could flick it open. That large cutout for the closure is good. Definitely easy and usable one-handed with a bulky cloth glove. Grip, my thumb does lock really well into that thumb ramp there. The G10's a little slick, but not bad. But I have a sure enough grip on it to do some cutting tasks. So definitely passes. I'd give this a 90 out of 100 for the ugly brown glove test. So pass. So that being said, there's the knife, the famous Spyderco Tenacious. Excellent knife for the price. Still a really good quality. Still is definitely a standard amongst most EDC knives. Excellent EDC, urban EDC. Kind of fits that middle of the range niche where it's not too big, not too small, and it just fits right. So definitely check it out, especially if you can find it for under 40 bucks. It's definitely a good deal. Like I said, check the eye in the upper right hand corner for links to my other videos. I do unboxing and knife reviews. Other than that, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you outside.